Welcome back, dear friends, to your daily dose of ancient wisdom. Today we continue our reading of Srimad Bhagavatam Mahapurana, Tritiya Skandha, or Book 3, Discourse 20, which talks about the various species of living beings created by Brahma. Sage Saunaka said, "Having secured a foothold in the shape of earth, O son of Suta or Romaharshana, what means did Swayambhuva Manu adopt for evolving the other creatures that were yet to see the light?" Vidura was a great devotee of the Lord and a devoted friend of Sri Krishna. He abandoned his own elder brother Dhritarashtra along with the latter's sons Duryodhana and others because they had offended against Sri Krishna by turning a deaf ear to his counsel and behaving inamicably towards his beloved Pandavas. Sprung from the lions of sage Dvaipayana or Vedavyasa, he was in no way inferior to him in glory. Nay, he was devoted to Sri Krishna with all his being and attached to his devotees. Further, cleansed of all his sins by resorting to sacred places, what else did he enquire of the sage Maitreya, the foremost among the knowers of truth, on meeting him at the Kusavrata or Haridwara, where he was living? In the course of their conversation, O Suta, there must have proceeded sacred stories centering around the lotus feet of Srihari, and hence capable of wiping out all sins like the water of holy Ganga that have their source in those very feet. May God bless you. Please narrate to us those very stories of the Lord, whose noble deeds are the only achievements worth glorifying. What men who has his ascetic sense developed would feel sated with drinking in the nectar-like stories of Srihari's pastimes. Questioned thus by the sages staying in Naimisha, Ugrashrava, with his mind fixed on the Lord, said to them, "Listen." Sage Suta continued, "Vidura, a descendant of King Bharata, was delighted to hear the story of Lord, who, having assumed by his own divine will be the semblance of a boar, had enacted the sport of lifting up the earth from the bottom of the ocean and indifferently killed the demon Hiranyaksha. He then spoke to the sages as follows." Vidura said, "Knowing as you do things unperceived by us, tell me, O holy sage, what Brahma, the lord of Prajapatis, did for the purpose of creating living beings after evolving the Prajapatis or lords of created beings. How did the sage Marichi and other Brahmanas as well as Swayambhuva Manu evolve the creation in obedience to Brahma's command? Did they evolve it in conjunction with their wives or remaining independent in their action, or did they all jointly produce it?" Sage Maitreya replied, "When the equilibrium of the three gunas consisting of Prakriti or the primordial matter got disturbed through the agency of Prarabdha, the destiny of the jivas, the working of which is difficult to comprehend, the Supreme Spirit presiding over Prakriti and Kala, the time spirit, as well through mere proximity to the Lord, the Mahat Tattva, the principle of cosmic intelligence, was evolved therefrom. From the Mahat Tattva, in which the element of Rajas predominates, as impelled by the destiny of the Jivas, was evolved the ego, or the source of the five elements, which is of three kinds, according to it, is predominated by Sattva, Rajas, or Tamas, and the ego in its turn evolved many a group of five principles, such as the five gross elements, ether, and so on. Severally unable to produce the material universe, they combined with the help of the divine energy and were now able to evolve a shining egg. From over 1,000 years, egg lay on the water on the causal ocean in a lifeless state. After that, Lord entered in it as a presiding deity, From the navel of the Lord, as presiding over the egg, sprang a lotus that possessed the dazzling splendor of 1,000 suns and was intended to be the abode of all living beings. Brahma himself emanated from this very lotus. When the Lord, who sleeps on the water forming the support of the cosmos, entered the heart as inner controller, Brahma, the creator, started creating hierarchy of the various worlds according to the plan evolved by him in the preceding kalpas. At the very outset, he evolved out of his own shadow or ignorance the 5 varieties of avidya or nascence, namely Tamisra, Andhatamishra, Tamas, Moha, and Mahamoha. Brahma threw off the body of his in the form of shadow, for he did not like it, made up as it was of darkness or ignorance. The Yakshas and Rakshasas who had sprung therefrom took possession of that body, which is continued in the form of night and is the source of hunger and thirst. Overpowered by hunger and thirst, they ran to devour him from all sides. Spare him not out of compassion, thinking that he is our father. Eat him up, they all cried, oppressed as they were with hunger and thirst. The god Brahma grew nervous at this unexpected turn, and pleased with them, pray ye me not, but spare me. For you have all been born as sons to me, O Yakshas and Rakshasas. Shining with glory, he created before all others the divinities that had the elements of sattva or goodness predominant in them. When Brahma dropped even that effulgent form, out of which he had evolved these divinities, and which now figured as daytime, the gods sportfully took possession of it. The glorious Brahma next evolved from his hinder part the demons who are excessively fond of women. Being very lustful, they came up to him for copulation. The worshipful Brahma first laughed at that stupidity, but finding the shameless asuras close upon him, he grew indignant and ran out of fear in great haste. He approached Srihari, the bestower of boons, who dispels the agony of those running up to him for succor, and who, in order to show his grace to his devotees, reveals himself in the form answering their conception. Protect me, O Supreme Spirit. I created these beings as directed by you, but these sinful creatures are out to copulate with me, my Lord. You are the only one capable of ending the affliction of distressed people, as also the only one inflicting agony on those who never resort to your feet for protection. The Lord, who could distinctly see the mind of others, perceived Brahma's distress and said to him, Cast off this impure body of yours, impure because it has produced the libidinous asuras and excited their passion. Thus commanded by the Lord, he dropped it. The body thus shuffled off by Brahma took the form of evening twilight when the day and night meet, and which kindles passion. The asuras, who are passionate by natures, dominated as they are by the element of rajas, took it for a damsel, whose lotus feet resounded with the tinkling of anklet, whose eyes were wild with intoxication, and whose hips were covered with a fine cloth over which shone a girdle. Her breasts were projecting upwards because of their clinging to each other, and were too contiguous to admit any intervening space. She had a sharply nose and beautiful row of teeth, nay, a lovely smile played on her lips, and she cast a sportful glance at the asuras. Adorned with dark tresses, she was hiding herself as it were out of shyness. Perceiving that girl, O Vidura, an incarnation of Dharma, the god of virtue, the asuras were all infatuated with love. Oh, what a beauty! What a rare self control! What a budding youth! in the midst of us all who are passionately longing for her, she is moving about like one absolute free from passion, indulging in speculations of various kinds about the evening twilight that appeared to them as endowed with the form of a young woman. The asuras of wicked mind treated her with respect and fondly asked her, "Who are you by birth? Whose daughter may you be, O pretty one? Let having thighs smooth and tapering like the stem of a plantain tree. And what can be the object of your coming over here, O proud damsel? Why do you tantalize us, luckless as we are, with the priceless commodity of your beauty? Whosoever you may be, O tender girl, we are fortunate in having been able to see you. While playing with a ball, you agitate the mind of the lookers on. When you strike the bouncing ball against the ground with your hand again and again, O praiseworthy woman, your lotus feet stay not at one place, oppressed by the weight of your full breast. Your waist gets fatigued, and your clear vision grows dull, as it were. Pray braid your comely hair. Thus the asuras of clouded understanding took the evening twilight that showed itself in the form of a young woman for an alluring damsel and seized her. With a laugh full of deep significance, the worshipful Brahma, evolved by his own loveliness, which seemed to enjoy itself by itself, hosts of Gandharvas or celestial musicians, and Apsaras or dancing girls of heaven. After that, he gave up the shining and beloved form made of moonlight. Visvavasu and other Gandharvas themselves gladly took possession of it. The glorious Brahma next evolved out of his sloth the bhutas or ghosts and pisachas or the fiends, but he closed his eyes when he saw them stand naked with their hair disheveled. The bhutas and pisachas themselves took possession of the body in the form of a yawn thrown off by Brahma, the Lord of beings. It is also known as sleep, which causes the mouth of living beings to eject running saliva. And these very bhutas and pisachas attack men who are rendered impure in this way, and such attack of theirs is spoken of as insanity. Recognizing himself as full of vigor and energy, the worshipful Brahma, the Lord of beings, evolved out of his invincible form the host of sadhyas and the pitras or mains. The pitras themselves took possession of that invisible body, the source of their existence. It is through the medium of this invincible body of the pitras that those well versed in the ritual offering oblations to the sandhyas and the pitras in the form of their departed ancestors on the occasion of Shraddha. By his faculty of remaining hidden from view, Brahma evolved the species of living beings called Siddhas and Vidyadharas, and he gave them the marvelous form of his, known by the name of Antardhana, the faculty of remaining hidden from view. One day, Brahma, the Lord of beings, beheld his own reflection in water, and admiring himself through that, evolved the Kimpurushas as well as the Kinnaras out of that very reflection. They took possession of that shadow form which was left by Brahma. That is why they sing his praises by recounting his exploits at daytime every morning along with their spouses. Once Brahma lay with his body stretched at full length, much concerned over the fact that the work of creation has not proceeded apace, and in a sullen mood shed that body too. The hair that dropped from that body as he apparently pulled them in a fit of excitement were transformed into snakes, dear Vidura, while even the body crawled along with its hands and feet contracted. There sprang from it ferocious serpents and nagas with their necks dilated in the form of a herd. One day, Brahma, the self born creator, felt as if the object of his life has been accomplished. At that time, he evolved out of his mind, last of all, the Manus who promote the welfare of the world. To them, the self possessed Creator gave his own human form. On seeing them, the Manus, those who had been created earlier, namely the gods, the Gandharvas, and so on, applauded Brahma, the Lord of created beings. O Creator of the universe, we are glad that you have produced it well done. Since all ritual acts, such as pouring oblations into the sacred fire, have been placed on a sound footing in this human form, we shall all share the sacrificial oblations with it. Having equipped himself with the austere penance, adoration, yoga or concentration of mind, and samadhi, the deep meditation accompanied by dissipation, and having controlled his senses, Brahma, the first seer, evolved the rishis with beloved sons. To each one of these, the unborn Creator gave a part of his own body, which was characterized by deep meditation, concentration of mind, supernatural power, austerity, adoration, and dissipation. Thus ends the 20th Discourse in Book 3 of the great and glorious Bhagavata Purana, otherwise known as the Paramahamsa Samhita. Thank you.